Hello and welcome to our course on Exploratory Data Analysis with Power BI. In this class, we are going to study data transformation with the Power Query.
And to do so, we chose the Netflix user-based dataset, whose link can be found in the description below. Here we are in the Power BI interface. If we click here in the table view, we have access to our dataset, and from here, we can choose the option Transform Data that is going to open the Power Query editor. So let's go for it. And let's minimize this window because we want to focus here now on the Power Query editor. And now we are looking at the dataset, at the variables that we have in the dataset. So this dataset has only 9 variables from the user ID, subscription type, up to the device type that the user is accessing the Netflix. Here is the information about the dataset. Okay, so let's play a little bit with this dataset. Let's apply some data transformations here, just for us to get to know better the Power Query. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to copy the column joint date, because we want to create one column for the month, one column for the day, and one column for the year. So first thing here is to copy this column, and to do so, we select this column and we go to the add column here, and we choose the option duplicate column. So this column was duplicated here in the end of our spreadsheet. We can see it here. And now what we want to do is to create one color for the month, one color for the day, and one column for the year. And let's do it in the same order. Let's take first the month. Okay, so the column month is there. Now let's take the column day. And finally, let's create the column year. Okay, so we create these 3 new columns here representing the month, the day, and the year. If we want, we can edit its name and include the information join day month. If we double click here, we can edit this name. After we finish editing, we just press enter, join date year. Okay, so we've done this first transformation, and now let's have a look at the menu transform to see what it offers to us. And there are actually many functions available here, from the grouping of variables, the transposition of the whole table, to reverse the wholes from first to the last and last to the first. We can count the number of rows, we can rename. So there are a lot of things that we can do. Let's apply some of these functions here to see what happens. So let's take, for example, the subscription type, and let's group by. When we choose the option group by here, I had already chosen the variable, so it's here, and the result that we want is count. We could choose something else, for example, to take the average, but let's do the count first. Right, okay, so it grouped by. We can see that we have 999 rows or objects that are of subscription type basic, 733 objects of subscription type premium, and 768 objects of subscription type standard. Okay, here on the right hand side, we can see the menu with the applied steps, and that's very interesting because I can, for example, undo any step that I want. In this case, I undid group by function that I applied here to the table, but I could actually undo any one of these steps here. We can play on that later to illustrate. So let's do something else. Let's see what happens if I transpose this table. Okay, what happened was that my objects now became my columns, and my variables now are in the rows. Remember that I copied this variable join date and I split it into month, day, and year. So initially or originally I had 9 variables. Now I have 13 variables. Right? Okay, so let's apply the transpose function again. As we can see, when we apply the transpose function again, it just lost the name of the variables here. So what I'll do is I will undo these last two steps, okay, so that I have the names of my variables back here. What else? Let's reverse the roles to see what happens. Now we can see that the last user, which is the user number 2500, is now on the top, and the first user is on the very end of the table. So let's undo this step again. Let's play with the replacement of some values that we have here in this function. For example, in terms of country, here we have USA. Let's replace this value USA by United States. Okay, now every USA occurrence was replaced by United States. We can do many things. Let's have a look, for example, in split column. What can we do? Split by delimiter, for example. If we choose that, it's going to suggest us a delimiter. I chose the slash, and now, okay, just split into the month, the day, and the year. Similarly to what we did, the result was equivalent to what we did when we separated using the date, but just because coincidentally this variable last payment was also date. So let's undo this step because I don't want this split. I want the original variable here. Okay, let's illustrate one last function here in the Power Query, and let's play with the add column menu. In the add column menu, let's take the custom column. This means that we are going to create a new column in our data set, in our table. To create this new column, we can apply any specific formula. For example, let's take the monthly revenue here. Let's put it there, and let's multiply the monthly revenue by, for example, here, the age of the person, right? The age is in year here. In years here, it doesn't make that much sense, but let's do it just to illustrate. Okay, so monthly revenue times the age, and the result that we have is another column which is called custom. I can change it here and just name it monthly revenue times age, just so that people know what is this column about. Okay, so that's what I wanted to present you today, so that you know how to work with the Power Query. And the last thing is, once you finish doing everything you wanted to do, applying all the transformations to your data that you wanted to apply, the last thing is you have to close it and apply, so that the modified table is uploaded to the Power BI editor. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next class.